The year was 2035, and Emily Shepard was growing increasingly frustrated. As one of the brightest young minds in aerospace engineering, she had joined NASA with dreams of reaching for the stars. But instead of pushing the boundaries of human exploration, she found herself knee-deep in budget proposals and congressional hearings, constantly fighting just to maintain the status quo. The golden age of space travel, exemplified by the historic moon landings of the 1960s and 70s, had long since passed. With the International Space Station set to be decommissioned in the coming decade, and no firm plans for a return to the lunar surface, Emily watched in dismay as her childhood heroes, the brave astronauts who had once kindled her sense of wonder, faded into obscurity. It just doesn't make sense. She would lament to her colleagues over long nights hunched over budget spreadsheets. We've got the technology, the know-how, even the public support. So why are we stuck spinning our wheels? The answer, of course, was politics and bureaucracy. In the decades since the original space race, NASA had become mired in competing priorities, shifting administrations, and a growing apathy among the general public. With each passing year, the agency's budget was whittled down, leaving precious little room for bold new initiatives. But Emily refused to accept this bleak reality. She saw the spark of exploration still burning in the eyes of her fellow engineers, the same spark that had drawn them all to this noble pursuit. If the politicians in Washington wouldn't listen, then she would take matters into her own hands. One night, as she was burning the midnight oil reviewing the latest budget proposal, an idea began to take shape in her mind. What if, instead of fighting the system from within, she could build something entirely new, a space program unburdened by the constraints of government bureaucracy? With renewed energy, Emily started reaching out to her network, sanding out the possibility of creating a private multinational space agency. The response was immediate and overwhelmingly positive. Colleagues from NASA, ESA, Roscosmos, and other national space programs were eager to join her cause, driven by the same sense of frustration and the desire to see humanity reach for the stars once more. Within months, Emily had assembled a core team of engineers, scientists, and business leaders, all united by a shared vision. They called their fledgling organization the United Space Exploration Agency, USEA, and their mission was simple: to pick up where the original space programs had left off and take humanity to the Moon, Mars, and beyond. Of course, assembling the team was the easy part. Securing the necessary funding and political support proved to be a much greater challenge. Emily and her colleagues faced skepticism and resistance at every turn, from government officials who saw them as a threat to established interests, to investors wary of the inherent risks of space exploration. But Emily's determination was unbreakable. She crisscrossed the globe, pitching USEA's ambitious plans to anyone who would listen: tech billionaires, philanthropists, even foreign heads of state. Slowly but surely, the funding trickled in, allowing the agency to establish its first research and development facilities. The breakthrough moment came when USEA secured a major contract with a consortium of private companies to build a reusable, low-cost launch vehicle. With this reliable and affordable means of getting payloads into space, the agency could now shift its focus to the real prize: sending humans back to the Moon and eventually to Mars. As the first USEA rockets lifted off from their launch pad, Emily stood amidst the cheering throng, her eyes shining with a mixture of pride and determination. The dream of space exploration was no longer just a fading memory. It was about to become reality once more. The world was watching, and humanity's destiny among the stars was about to unfold. The successful launch of USCA's reusable rockets sparked a renewed sense of optimism around the world. After decades of stagnation, humanity was finally poised to reach for the stars once more. But Emily Shepard and her team knew that the true test lay ahead, establishing a permanent human presence on the lunar surface. The mission plan was ambitious, requiring the coordination of crews and resources from over a dozen different nations. USCA had assembled a multinational team of the finest astronauts, engineers, and scientists, all driven by the shared dream of walking on the moon. Leading the charge was Commander James Rodriguez, a veteran of the final space shuttle missions, and one of the last astronauts to have set foot on the lunar surface. Though he had been deeply disillusioned by the decline of the space program in the decades since, the opportunity to return to the moon had rekindled his passion. "This is our chance to show the world what we're capable of," Rodriguez said during the crew's final pre-launch briefing. "We're not just representing USCA or our individual countries, we're representing the entire human species. Everything we do up there has to be done with that in mind." The launch went off without a hitch, the USCA rocket delivering the crew safely to lunar orbit. But the real challenges were just beginning. Landing on the moon, establishing a habitable outpost, and ensuring the crew's long-term survival would require feats of engineering and logistical coordination, unlike anything attempted before. The original Apollo missions were remarkable achievements, but they were essentially flags and footprints, said mission specialist Dr. Mai Zhang, the lead architect of the lunar habitat. "This time, we have to build something that can sustain a permanent human presence. That means tackling everything from life support systems to in-situ resource utilization." As the lunar lander touched down on the familiar grey soil, the crew held their breath. For a tense moment, communications were lost, and Emily Shepard felt her heart racing in her chest. But then, a crackle of static, and Rodriguez's voice cutting through. "Houston, this is Tranquility Base. The Eagle has landed." A cheer went up among the USCA team in mission control, relief mingling with exhilaration. But the hard work was just beginning. Over the next few months, the crew would engage in a flurry of activity, unloading supplies, assembling the prefabricated habitat modules, and venturing out on exploratory excursions. Each step of the way, they faced unexpected challenges, from malfunctioning equipment to the harsh realities of the lunar environment. At one point, a power failure nearly cut off life support, forcing the crew to venture out in their bulky spacesuits to make critical repairs. Through it all, the team's determination and camaraderie kept them going. They drew strength from one another, finding innovative solutions to even the most daunting problems. And as the lunar outpost began to take shape, a sense of pride and wonder filled their hearts. "When I look out at the Earth hanging there in the blackness, it's a humbling reminder of how far we've come," said botanist Dr. Fatima Al-Khalifa, as she tended to the first crops grown in the lunar greenhouse. "Our ancestors could only dream of this. And now, we're the ones building the path to the stars." As the first year of the mission drew to a close, the USCA team back on Earth watched with bated breath. The success or failure of this endeavour would define the future of human space exploration. Finally, the moment of truth arrived. The crew had not only survived, but thrived. The lunar outpost was operational, self-sustaining, and ready to serve as a springboard for further missions. For Emily Shepard, it was a vindication of her vision, a dream realized after years of struggle. As she gazed up at the moon, now a familiar sight in the night sky, she knew that this was just the beginning. The path to the stars had been forged, and humanity's destiny among the cosmos was about to unfold. The success of the USEA's lunar mission had captured the world's imagination, reigniting a fervent public interest in space exploration. With the lunar outpost firmly established, Emily Shepard and her team knew that the time had come to set their sights on an even more ambitious goal: sending humans to Mars. The moon was just the beginning, Shepard declared during a press conference announcing the agency's plans. Now it's time for us to take the next giant leap and establish a permanent human presence on the red planet. The challenges of a crewed mission to Mars were immense, far exceeding even the daunting obstacles overcome during the lunar program. The journey would take nearly a year, with the crew isolated and exposed to the hazards of deep space for an unprecedented duration. Upon arrival, they would have to contend with the harsh Martian environment, from the thin atmosphere to the relentless radiation. Nonetheless, USEA's international team of scientists and engineers rose to the occasion, meticulously planning every aspect of the mission. Commander Akiko Tanaka, a decorated JAXA astronaut, would lead the 6-person crew on their perilous voyage. "This is the opportunity of a lifetime," Tanaka said during the crew's final pre-launch briefing. "We know the risks, but the potential rewards are beyond measure. We stand on the precipice of a new era in human history." As the launch day approached, the world held its breath. Millions tuned in to watch the USEA rocket soar into the sky, carrying the crew on their nearly year-long journey to Mars. For Emily Shepard, the liftoff was a moment of both pride and trepidation. "This is where the real test begins," she murmured, her eyes fixed on the diminishing rocket plume. The first few months of the journey passed without incident, as the crew settled into their routines and began preparations for the Martian landing. But as they neared their destination, the challenges intensified. The entry and landing sequence would be the most critical and dangerous phase of the entire mission. "We've only got one shot at this," Tanaka said grimly, as the crew ran through their final simulations. "If anything goes wrong, we may not get a second chance." The moment of truth arrived as the Martian atmosphere grew ever closer. The crew held their breath, gripping their harnesses as the craft shuddered and groaned under the immense stresses. For several agonizing minutes, communications with mission control were lost, leaving the anxious team unearthed to wait in excruciating silence. Then, a burst of static, and Tanaka's voice, calm and steady. "Houston, this is Ares 1. We have landed." Cheers erupted in the USEA control room as the telemetry data confirmed a successful touchdown. But the hard part was just beginning. The crew now faced the daunting task of establishing a viable outpost on the Martian surface, with limited resources and no possibility of immediate rescue. Over the following months, the astronauts worked tirelessly, erecting living quarters, setting up life support systems, and conducting scientific experiments. Each day brought new challenges, from equipment malfunctions to the ever-present threat of dust storms that could cripple their fragile habitat. Yet, through it all, the crew remained resolute, drawing strength from one another and the knowledge that they were pioneers, forging a path for humanity's future among the stars. And as the Martian base took shape, a sense of awe and accomplishment filled their hearts. "When I look up at the Earth, hanging there in the sky, I'm reminded of how far we've come," said Dr. Li Mei, the mission's chief scientist. "This is just the beginning. With each step, we're unlocking the secrets of the universe and paving the way for generations to come." As the first Martian expedition neared its end, Emily Shepard knew that her dream was becoming a reality. USEA had not only succeeded in establishing a permanent human presence on the moon, but had now taken humanity's reach even further, to the very edge of the solar system. The path to the stars was open, and the future was theirs to write. With the lunar and Martian outposts firmly established, the United Space Exploration Agency, USEA, set its sights on an even more ambitious goal: to explore the furthest reaches of the solar system. Emboldened by their successes, Emily Shepard and her team began planning a series of increasingly complex and daring missions, each one pushing the boundaries of human exploration. First on the agenda was a series of expeditions to the asteroid belt, a region teeming with untapped resources that could be crucial for sustaining the growing network of extraterrestrial colonies. Commander Rashid Al-Khalifa, a seasoned Emirati astronaut, led the first team of prospectors on a year-long journey to survey and collect samples from these mysterious celestial bodies. The asteroids hold the keys to unlocking a new era of space-based industry and resource utilization, Al-Khalifa said before launch. If we can figure out how to effectively mine and process these materials, it could revolutionize our ability to build and maintain our presence beyond Earth. The mission was fraught with challenges, from navigating the treacherous asteroid fields to contending with the extreme isolation and radiation of deep space. Yet, the crew persevered, gathering invaluable data and bringing back samples that sparked a renewed wave of scientific interest and investment in USEA's programs. Emboldened by this success, the agency set its sights even further, launching expeditions to explore the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. These missions would require even more advanced propulsion systems and life support technologies, pushing the limits of human endurance and engineering. Leading the charge to the Jovian system was Commander Mai Zhang, a brilliant Chinese astrophysicist who had been instrumental in the design of the Martian habitat. Her team's goal was to conduct in-depth studies of Europa and Ganymede, moons believed to harbour subsurface oceans that could potentially support extraterrestrial life. For centuries, humanity has looked up at the stars and wondered if we are truly alone in the universe, Zhang said during the crew's final briefing. Now we have the opportunity to find out. The discoveries we make on this mission could rewrite our understanding of the cosmos. The journey to Jupiter took over 2 years, with the crew enduring extended periods of isolation and sensory deprivation. But when they finally arrived in orbit around the gas giant, the sight that greeted them was nothing short of awe-inspiring. It's hard to put into words, said mission specialist Dr. Fatima Al-Khalifa, gazing out the viewport at the swirling clouds of Jupiter. All our lives, we've seen these planets as just dots in the sky. But being here, seeing the sheer scale and majesty of it all, it's humbling, to say the least. The crew's findings from their studies of Europa and Ganymede were equally profound. Evidence of subsurface oceans, as well as potential signs of microbial life, sent shockwaves through the scientific community back on Earth. USEA's reputation as the preeminent space agency soared, cementing its place as the driving force behind humanity's exploration of the solar system. Yet, even as the agency celebrated these historic achievements, Emily Shepard knew that there was still more to be done. The ultimate goal, the true test of humanity's spacefaring capabilities, lay even further, at the very edge of the solar system. And so Shepard greenlit the most ambitious mission yet. A crude flyby of Neptune, the furthest planet from the Sun. The journey would take nearly a decade, pushing the crew to the limits of human endurance and technology. But if successful, it would mark a new chapter in the eternal human quest to understand our place in the cosmos. As the first USEA spacecraft set course for the distant blue-green world, Shepard stood on the launch pad, watching it disappear into the heavens. A smile played on her lips, tinged with both pride and a touch of trepidation. "We're just getting started," she murmured, her gaze fixed on the stars. The path to the stars is open, and we're only beginning to walk it. As the years passed, the network of USEA outposts and colonies across the solar system continued to grow, cementing humanity's presence beyond the confines of our home planet. The lunar base had expanded into a bustling hub of scientific research and resource extraction, while the Martian settlement had blossomed into a thriving community, complete with greenhouses, manufacturing facilities, and even the beginnings of a tourism industry. The crews that had embarked on those first historic missions to the Moon, Mars, the asteroid belt, and the moons of the outer planets had become legends, their exploits inspiring a new generation of space explorers. And now, after decades of service, the time had come for them to return home. Leading the homecoming was none other than Commander James Rodriguez, the veteran astronaut who had helmed the first successful lunar landing mission for USEA. Now greying and weathered, but with a fire still burning in his eyes, Rodriguez prepared to make his final journey from the moon back to Earth. "It's been an honor and a privilege to be part of this incredible journey," Rodriguez said during his farewell address to the lunar colony. "But the time has come for us to pass the torch to the next generation. They will take what we've built and carry it even further, pushing the boundaries of human exploration." As the crew boarded the sleek USEA spacecraft for the journey home, crowds gathered to bid them farewell. Among them was Emily Shepard, who had watched this moment unfold with a mixture of pride and bittersweet nostalgia. "This is what it was all for, you know," she said to her colleague, Dr. Mai Zhang, as they stood together on the launch pad. "To see humanity reclaim its rightful place among the stars. And now, the next chapter is about to begin." The descent back to Earth was a delicate and nerve-wracking process, as the crew navigated the fiery re-entry through the atmosphere. But when the spacecraft touched down on the familiar soil of their home planet, a deafening cheer erupted from the gathered crowds. Shepard, along with the rest of the USEA team, rushed to greet the returning heroes, embracing them with tears of joy. For these astronauts, the journey had been one of not just physical exploration, but also of personal growth and discovery. They had witnessed the awe-inspiring majesty of the cosmos, and in doing so, had gained a deeper understanding of their place in the universe. "When you're up there, looking back at Earth, it puts everything into perspective," Rodriguez said, his voice thick with emotion. "All the petty squabbles, the conflicts, the divisions, they seem so small and insignificant. We're one species, one planet, bound together by our shared humanity." The homecoming was a global event, with dignitaries and citizens from around the world flocking to celebrate the achievements of the USEA astronauts. They were hailed as pioneers, explorers, and guardians of humanity's destiny among the stars. And for the first time in decades, the dream of space exploration had been rekindled, inspiring a new generation to take up the mantle. As the crew members were feted with parades, awards, and countless accolades, Shepard watched from the sidelines, a proud smile on her face. This was the moment she had worked for, the culmination of a lifetime's worth of struggle and determination. USEA had not only succeeded in reviving humanity's spacefaring ambitions, but had taken them further than anyone could have imagined. "The path to the stars is open," Shepard murmured, gazing up at the night sky. "And now the real journey begins." In the weeks and months that followed, the returning astronauts were welcomed into universities, research institutions, and even government agencies, sharing their experiences and insights with those who would carry the torch of exploration into the future. Their stories captivated the global imagination, sparking a renewed sense of wonder and purpose in the hearts of millions. For Emily Shepard, it was the ultimate validation of her vision. The dream she had fought so hard to realize had become a reality, and humanity's destiny now lay among the stars. As she looked out over the bustling USEA headquarters, she knew that the next chapter was about to unfold, one of unimaginable discovery, boundless possibility, and the endless expanse of the cosmos. As humanity's presence in the solar system continued to expand, new challenges arose that tested the resolve and ingenuity of the USEA and its growing network of extraterrestrial colonies. Resource scarcity, political tensions, and the ever-present threat of the unknown forced the agency to evolve, taking on a new role as the guardians and protectors of humanity's interplanetary domain. At the forefront of this effort was Commander Rashid Al-Khalifa, the seasoned Emirati astronaut who had led the first expeditions to the asteroid belt. Now, as the head of the USEA's Interplanetary Defense Corps, he was tasked with coordinating a unified response to the growing range of threats facing the colonies. "We're no longer just explorers. We're the custodians of humanity's future," Al-Khalifa said during a briefing with the agency's leadership. "The solar system is our home now, and we have a responsibility to defend it, no matter the cost." One of the most pressing concerns was the growing competition for scarce resources, particularly in the asteroid belt and on the moons of the outer planets. As the colonies became more self-sufficient, the demand for raw materials like water, metals, and rare earth elements skyrocketed, leading to territorial disputes and even armed clashes between rival factions. To address this, the USEA established a network of automated mining outposts and refining facilities, strategically positioned throughout the solar system. These installations, operated by a mix of autonomous robots and specially trained crews, were tasked with extracting and processing the vital resources needed to sustain the colonies. But even as the agency worked to secure the supply chains, a new threat emerged: the possibility of extraterrestrial interference. Rumors of mysterious objects, unidentified spacecraft, and unexplained phenomena began to circulate, sparking fears that humanity was not alone in the vast expanse of the solar system. "We've encountered the limits of our knowledge," said Dr. Mai Zhang, the chief scientist of the USEA's Exploration Division. "Everything we thought we knew about the universe is being challenged, and we have to be prepared for whatever lies out there, beyond the edge of our solar system." In response, the Interplanetary Defense Corps began outfitting its fleet of spacecraft with advanced sensor suites and defensive capabilities. Specialized teams of astronauts, engineers, and security personnel were trained to respond to a wide range of potential threats, from asteroid impacts to hostile alien encounters. The pinnacle of these efforts was the construction of the USEA Citadel, a massive, heavily fortified space station positioned at the Lagrange point between Earth and the Moon. Serving as the command center for the agency's interplanetary defense network, the Citadel was equipped with state-of-the-art weaponry, communications systems, and early warning sensors that could detect and neutralize any potential dangers. "This is more than just a military installation," Al-Khalifa explained during the Citadel's inauguration ceremony. "It's a symbol of our commitment to protecting the fragile web of life that we've built across the solar system. We are the guardians of humanity's future, and we will do whatever it takes to keep our people safe." As the Citadel took its place in the heavens, the world watched with a mixture of awe and unease. The once peaceful vision of humanity's spacefaring dreams had taken on a more ominous tone, as the agency grappled with the realities of securing its newly established interplanetary empire. For Emily Shepard, the transformation of USEA into a defensive force was a bittersweet development. While she recognized the necessity of safeguarding the colonies and their vital resources, she couldn't help but feel a sense of nostalgia for the pure, unbridled spirit of exploration that had defined the agency's early years. We've come so far, but at what cost? She mused, gazing up at the citadel's towering silhouette. I hope we haven't lost sight of the dream that brought us here in the first place. As the winds of change swept through the solar system, Shepard knew that the true test of humanity's resolve was still to come. The path to the stars had been forged, but the journey was far from over. The future, it seemed, would be as much about defending what they had built as it was about continuing to reach for the unknown. With the solar system secured and the USEA's network of colonies and outposts firmly established, humanity's gaze once again turned to the stars. The dream of interstellar exploration, long considered the stuff of science fiction, was now within reach, but only if the agency could overcome the immense technical and logistical challenges that stood in their way. Leading the charge was Dr. Emily Shepard, now a venerated elder statesman of the space program. Though the demands of managing USEA's ever-expanding operations had kept her grounded for years, the call of the cosmos was too strong to ignore. She knew that the next great leap in human history lay beyond the boundaries of the solar system. We've explored our own backyard, but the true expanse of the universe is still waiting to be discovered, Shepard said during a passionate address to the agency's top scientists and engineers. The time has come for us to take that giant leap and to seek out new worlds, new civilizations, whatever may be out there beyond the edge of our knowledge. The path to interstellar travel was fraught with challenges, from developing revolutionary propulsion systems capable of reaching distant stars to ensuring the long-term survival of crews isolated for decades in the void of deep space. But USEA's brightest minds were up to the task, driven by the same relentless spirit of exploration that had defined the agency's earliest days. One of the key breakthroughs came in the form of fusion-powered rocket engines, a technology that promised to dramatically reduce travel times and increase payloads. Alongside this, the agency invested heavily in closed-loop life support systems, advanced cryogenic storage, and AI-powered navigation and control systems, all essential for sustaining human life on the perilous journeys to the stars. As the first interstellar spacecraft neared completion, the world held its breath. The mission, dubbed Voyager, would send a small crew on a flyby of the nearest exoplanets, gathering invaluable data and paving the way for future, more ambitious expeditions. At the helm was Commander Akiko Tanaka, the veteran astronaut who had led the historic first mission to Mars. "This is the moment we've all been waiting for," Tanaka said during the crew's final pre-launch briefing. "For centuries, we've looked up at the night sky and wondered if we're truly alone. Now we have the chance to find out, to peer beyond the boundaries of our solar system and uncover the secrets of the cosmos." The launch of the Voyager spacecraft was a global spectacle, with millions tuning in to witness the historic event. As the sleek, silver rocket soared into the heavens, a sense of awe and anticipation swept across the planet. This was the beginning of a new era in human exploration, one that would push the boundaries of what was possible. The journey to the nearest exoplanets would take years, with the crew enduring extended periods of isolation, sensory deprivation, and the constant threat of equipment failure or unexpected phenomena. But through it all, they remained resolute, driven by the knowledge that they were making history with every passing day. When the Voyager finally reached its destination, the crew was greeted with a sight that defied their wildest expectations. The exoplanets, once mere specks of light in the night sky, were now towering giants, their alien landscapes and atmospheres hinting at the vast diversity of worlds that existed beyond the solar system. "It's humbling, really," said mission specialist Dr. Li Mi, as she gazed out the viewport. "We thought we knew so much, but this is just the beginning." There's an entire universe out there, waiting to be explored. The data and images sent back by the Voyager crew sparked a renewed wave of scientific interest and public fascination. Suddenly, the prospect of interstellar travel and the search for extraterrestrial life was no longer the stuff of science fiction, but a very real and tangible goal. For Emily Shepard, watching the Voyager mission unfold was a bittersweet moment. This was the culmination of a lifetime's work, the realization of a dream she had fought so hard to bring to life. And yet, she knew that the true journey was only just beginning. "We've come so far, but there's still so much left to discover," Shepard murmured, her eyes fixed on the stars. "The path to the stars is open, and we're only just taking the first steps." As the decades passed, the United Space Exploration Agency's USEA network of extraterrestrial colonies and outposts continued to expand, reaching far beyond the confines of the solar system. The Voyager mission's success had paved the way for a new era of interstellar exploration, with successive waves of crewed expeditions venturing to distant exoplanets and establishing the first human settlements on alien worlds. Leading this charge was a new generation of space explorers, many of whom had been inspired by the feats of the agency's pioneering crews. Among them was Commander Liam Donovan, a brash and ambitious young Irishman who had cut his teeth on the challenging missions to the asteroid belt and the moons of Jupiter. "When I was a kid, I used to stare up at the stars and dream of what might be out there," Donovan said during a press conference announcing his command of the latest interstellar mission. "Now, I get to be the one to find out. It's a responsibility I don't take lightly." Under Donovan's leadership, the USEA's interstellar exploration program expanded rapidly, with crews establishing outposts on planets orbiting distant stars. These settlements, while fragile and constrained by the limitations of current technology, represented a crucial stepping stone in humanity's quest to become a truly interstellar species. "Every time we set foot on a new world, it's a testament to the incredible resilience and ingenuity of our species," said Dr. Mai Zhang, who had transitioned from the agency's Martian program to oversee the interstellar initiatives. "We're no longer confined to a single planet or even a single solar system. We're building a future among the stars." As the network of interstellar colonies grew, so too did the challenges faced by the USEA and its crews. Resource scarcity, political tensions, and the ever-present threat of the unknown became even more pronounced, requiring the agency to continually adapt and innovate. One of the most critical developments was the creation of the Interstellar Defense Fleet, a specialized military arm tasked with protecting the agency's assets and personnel across the vast expanse of interstellar space. Commanded by the seasoned veteran Rashid Al-Khalifa, the fleet was equipped with the latest in propulsion, shielding, and weapons technology, ready to confront any threats that might emerge. "We're not just explorers anymore," Al-Khalifa declared during the fleet's inaugural address. "We're the guardians of humanity's interstellar empire, and we will do whatever it takes to keep our people safe." The challenges were not just physical, but also cultural and political. As the network of colonies grew, so too did the diversity of the human species represented among them. Managing the competing interests and ideologies of these far-flung settlements became a constant balancing act for the USEA's leadership. "We're not just one nation or one culture anymore," said Emily Shepard, now in her twilight years, but still a guiding force within the agency. "We're a civilization unto ourselves, bound not by borders, but by our shared dreams and our common humanity." It was a sentiment that resonated with the crews and colonists alike, as they grappled with the realities of building a future among the stars. For many, The experience of living and working in these alien environments had profoundly impacted their worldview, instilling in them a deeper sense of unity and purpose. "When you're out here, looking back at the Earth, it puts everything into perspective," said Liam Donovan, gazing out the viewport of his interstellar spacecraft. "The divisions, the conflicts, the petty squabbles, they all seem so small and insignificant. We're one species, one civilization, bound together by our shared destiny." As the centuries passed, the USEA's legacy continued to grow, with its network of interstellar colonies and outposts serving as beacons of humanity's resilience and ingenuity. The agency had not only fulfilled the dreams of its pioneering founders, but had also inspired generations to come, sparking a new era of exploration, discovery, and progress that would echo through the ages. And as Emily Shepard gazed up at the night sky, now dotted with the shimmering lights of human habitation, she couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder and profound gratitude. The path to the stars had been forged, and humanity's destiny among the cosmos was no longer a dream, but a tangible reality. "We're just getting started," she murmured, her eyes shining with pride. "The future is ours to write."